Hello, this is Class 1, Lesson 1 Foxtrot, Part 1 of the Clinical Operations Management course. My name is Daniel Hermann. This is the syllabus of the Clinical Operations Management course, and as you can see, we're on Class 1, Onboarding and SOP Training.
And this is the outline for Class 1. We've already completed lessons 1A through 1 Echo, and today we're going to be discussing portal laptop skills, which is lesson 1 Foxtrot. This is a very coarse outline of the lesson 1 Foxtrot session. I'm going to divide it into two parts. The first part being creating the two documents. One is an Excel document and the other is a Word document. They're actually rather simple and easy to construct. Part 2 will be a more important part, and it will be how to integrate those two documents into the management of a study team, and maybe even bigger than that, a CRO team or a program team. So this is my plan for part 1 of this lesson. And just to let you know, I recorded a bio of my history, so that way you know my background, so that way you know that I've walked the talk. It's available on YouTube. I'll put the title of the bio in the description of this video, but it's there if you want to look at it. So this is the plan for this lesson, this part of this lesson. First of all, I'm going to talk about building and then using the two documents. And just to review, I use both an Excel worksheet and a Word document. I'm going to talk about the 5 benefits of using these two documents. As I've said in previous videos, in every lesson, I'm going to try to discuss how the lesson topic relates to both assessment and the value of efficiency and organization. So I'll talk about that. And lastly, I will talk about 2 caveats. Hey, this is just a heads up. The audio in the next section is a bit muffled and distant. I apologize for that. I think I had the wrong microphone selected. So this is the Excel worksheet that I use to capture all of these portal keyboard skills. Very simple. These are the columns that I use. First column is category of service. The second one is the vendor, followed by the task itself. The third column is the procedures for doing the task. And then column D is a link if I think having a link will help. So what I've done is culled my existing worksheet to use for this class. And what I have selected are these categories of service, but I just want to show you what the other ones are. The different categories are CTMS, EDC, education, which would be part of the company's portal, training portal, I should call it, ePro, lab, pay, because when you join a company, you'll probably have a pay portal that you use to capture your timesheet. And for my worksheet, I also have another category called video. I'm going to hit OK. The next task, or the next column, is vendor. And I just want to show you what how I use this. So for you know what, I'm going to go back here. I'm just going to click EDC only, just so I can show you how it's used. So I have EDC selected for the category, and the vendors, these are all the vendors that I've used in my past. BioClinica, Inform, Rave. There are more, but this is what I have right now. And then I am going to click just Inform, just to show you what the rest of it looks like. You know, I've got a lot going on here. So for column B, the vendor is Inform and the task is close queries. And then column C is how I do it. Very, very, very simple. I don't need a link here. Sometimes for like usernames and passwords, I'll put the link to the sign-in sheet over here. So I typically use the Excel worksheet for relatively simple tasks, like running a simple report, entering time on a timesheet, signing off on training, rather simple things that can be explained in text. And I use the Word document to explain more complicated procedures. And I'll show you later, but the difference is that for that one, I use this snip software, and then I highlight what I'm talking about in red and put a little text. And so I snip something, I put it in the Word document, and then I put a little bit of text in the Word document to help me understand what's going on. So anyway, that is all this Excel worksheet is, and it works great. So now I will go on to the Word document. So this is an example of how I use the Word document to capture portal keyboard skills procedures. I just open a new Word document. At the top, I label it with the vendor and then what I'm trying to do. And then lastly, I put the date in. The date's important, and I'll cover this later, but things change a lot in the IT software world, and you have to make sure that you're looking at the most current stuff. So I date everything to make sure that I do have the latest. And also I saved the document with the date, so that way it files in chronological order. Okay, so this is what I do. Oh, and what I'm going to do for an example here is I use a platform called Loom to record these program videos. It's really, really, really good. I don't have anything to compare it to, but I was able to learn it really quickly, enough to generate these classes and publish them. There are lots of videos on YouTube that tell you how to do it, and if you want to do it the old-fashioned way and just click around, that works too. It's actually really simple, intuitive, and it's good. So, Loom. So what I'm going to do is do an example of how to edit a video that I've already generated in Loom. So this is a snip of a Loom video. It's a Loom video of my Excel workbook segment that I just did. So this is the way you delete part of the video. You go into the edit section. you go and you click on edit and trim videos. I've highlighted those in the red snip, highlighting thing. I put some text in here. In Loom, you go to the exact beginning of the recording that you want to take. You can drag this thing called, it's a vertical line. You can either drag it or you can just click play over here and, spend a bunch of time. I recommend using the red vertical line. And I want to point out that there are two things over here that you can go back 5 seconds or go forward 5 seconds. So you go to the beginning of the text or the video that you want to record and you click split. Then you go to the end and you click split. When you do that, Loom will highlight in a dark blue oval the section that you want to delete. See that down here? Then you come over here to delete section. I've highlighted it in red. And then you come over here and click finish. And I've highlighted that in red. So, very simple. Snip, highlighting in red with a little bit of text. I can't show you here because I didn't think ahead and my field of view is too short, but what I do is I save these documents in a folder called, historically I've called it IT Hints, but going forward I'm going to call it Vendor Keyboard Skills, comma. Oh, I create the folder, then I save the documents with the vendor, what I'm doing, and then the date in the format, year, month, day. And then I just save it in the folder for that vendor. Then down the road, if I need to amend it for some reason, I just go to that document, or I create a new one, and I call it the exact same thing, except I change the date. Let's say I do it tomorrow. I will call that 250106. That way, in the folder, all of the documents will be saved in chronological order. So that way you just go to the bottom, and you've got the most current one. How nice is that? So that's the way I do the Word document. So here's what it looks like when I save the document appropriately. The first word is the vendor. The second phrase is the skill that I'm trying to learn or capture for training and learning purposes. And then I save it in a date format, year, month, day. And then down the road, if I need to update it, I just change the date format. And when the laptop saves it, it'll save it in chronological order. And so all you have to do is go down to the most, actually the way I use it is I go to the bottom one. So like for this one, I know that this one is current. So now I want to talk about the benefits of using these two documents, how these documents relate to assessment and to organization and efficiency, and lastly, a couple caveats that I've experienced. So I think that there are 5 benefits to using these two documents. The first one is that if the documents are constructed properly and saved properly, it's one-stop shopping for all things IT. And that's a good thing. You don't have to go hunting for references on how to do things. The second thing is, and this relates especially to the Word documents. These documents can be easily emailed to new staff to reduce some of the pain and the anguish that all new people feel about learning new skills. The Word documents are really, really easy to read, and it translates into skills learned very quickly. The third thing is that a folder can be created in the share drive. You can call it vendor keyboard skills, or what I've done historically is call it IT skills. And then all these documents are saved in there. There would have to be sub-documents for each vendor or for the workbook itself. That doesn't take much creativity or intelligence. But creating and using that system will make things very, very simple for everyone, especially the new people. The fourth benefit is if I'm assigned a new study or I get a new job and I am encountered with learning or expecting to use software from vendors that I've worked with in the past, I can easily go to my workbook, sort it by vendor, by category, and then I'll have a head start on having the skills necessary to do my new job or to work on the new study. And lastly, the fifth thing is, in the situation of a job interview, my experience has been that interviewers ask a question about what software portals I've used. And this workbook captures all of them. So I'll be able to, especially preparation for the interview, be able to tell them what systems I've worked with. Probably the two most important ones are EDC and CTMS. So having a clear, succinct, ready answer for an interviewer is a really good thing to bring into an interview. Okay, I said in an earlier video that I'll try to relate the content of every lesson, every video, to two things. First of all, the value of assessment, and two, how it impacts organization and efficiency. So, for assessment, these two documents really do nothing in the short term. Later on, or in part 2 of this, I'll talk about how these workbooks can be incorporated into a training system, and then after that, how skills can be assessed by managers. Basically, is the training effective? So for organization, earlier I defined organization as 3 things: knowing where you are, knowing what's ahead, and third, where to find things. So the first 2 things, these 2 documents do nothing. But for the third one, where to find things, this is really, really good. You create a folder called IT Hints or Vendor Keyboard Skills, and then you put these documents in it. You're going to have to organize it by vendor, but it can be done. So this is really good about where to find things. Let's see, I missed efficiency. This is good for efficiency because new people don't have to go looking for a source on how to learn skills. Everything is in the same folder. Most skills can be put into that workbook, and if they're too convoluted, the Word document is good for that. But anyway, new people can find stuff quickly, and that is efficiency. Okay, lastly, the 2 caveats. First one is, the companies who make the software that we use are in the business of selling software. And just like everything else, they want to make their product look like it's the greatest, the most current, and the best. Sometimes they change things dramatically. Here's an example. When cars transition from gasoline to electric, that's a significant change that can be touted. However, a lot of times, changes that companies make are more cosmetic than they are substantial. But they tout them as being substantial. I had one software company, they said, oh my gosh, we made some really big changes, you got to see this. And basically all they did was change some of the icons. But they were able to say, just like a lot of other products, new and improved. You got to have it. So sometimes there are changes that are substantial and sometimes they're cosmetic. But when the changes are instituted, you're going to have to update these two documents. My second and last caveat is something called minimum viable product. When I worked for Merck, I think I said in an earlier video, it was a fabulous experience. I learned so much and my skills got so much better. But one thing I came across was this management practice called minimum viable product, and I'm going to abbreviate it MVP. What it basically means is that the people who made the product, and this relates especially to software, they're not exactly sure what's going to happen when it hits the streets. They know it's good enough to push out there, but they don't know what's going to happen when the users start using it. So there are going to be a lot of changes in a short period of time, especially in the beginning. So when I worked for Merck, they pushed out a tablet to write visit reports on. And when they pushed it out, they held a meeting and they confessed, this is an MVP product, so expect some bumps. And sure enough, there were some bumps. I'm glad, looking back on it, that the guy said that it was MVP. But I've also worked on software that I suspect was MVP, but I know was a train wreck. So what happens is these software companies do the best they can, and then they have some kind of monetary contractual relationship with the purchaser. It's basically something like this. The vendor says, we will provide this software to you at a very, very reduced price if you provide a comprehensive list of all the problems you're having. And we'll go back and fix them. So it's good for both partners. The vendor gets feedback from the users, which is a really good thing. And from the user's perspective, the CRO or the sponsor, they get a really good price. And I suspect sometimes the price is nothing. I've worked on a couple really, really challenging pieces of software that I have a strong suspicion for was MVP because they were so difficult to learn and inappropriate for what we were trying to get done. Anyway, just a heads up. The bigger companies, they don't have to get involved with MVP. They need the best and the best right now. The smaller companies and the new companies, they're probably going to go for the MVP. So if you do work for a small company, expect some bumps. And that's just going to be part of your job, to provide feedback. That's just the way it is. It's sort of like flight delays and bad food at the airport. It's just something you're going to have to put up with. So those are my two caveats. Cosmetic changes frequently and the possibility of an MVP. So this is the end of part one of the Portal keyboard skills of Lesson 1 Foxtrot. In this video, we have talked about building and then using the two documents that I use to capture IT skills. I talked about the 5 benefits of using these 2 documents. I've related how the use of these 2 documents relate to both assessment and to efficiency and organization. And lastly, I discussed the 2 caveats to using these 2 documents. So this is the end of part 1. Part 2 will discuss how I use these 2 documents in a training and in a management context.